The silence of an Aries speaks volumes in a world where everyone seems to be shouting. That powerful restraint, the unexpected quiet from the Zodiac's most fiery sign, is perhaps their most misunderstood weapon. Welcome to the hidden dimensions of the Ram that even the most dedicated astrology enthusiasts rarely discuss. The cosmos contains infinite mysteries, but few are as fascinating as the contradictions within each zodiac sign. Today, we're peeling back the layers of Aries, not to examine their well-documented boldness or their legendary courage, but to explore the surprising moments when these natural-born leaders choose silence over speech. Across the celestial landscape of Secret of the Zodiac, we've analyzed thousands of birth charts and observed countless Aries individuals in their natural habitats. What we've discovered about their communication patterns has surprised even our most experienced astrologers. While popular astrology often portrays Aries as the zodiac's unstoppable force, all action, impulse, and verbal directness, we found a profound depth in their strategic silences. Picture this: an important meeting where everyone's talking over each other, competing for attention, throwing ideas into the chaotic mix. Then there's that Aries colleague, observing, calculating, waiting. When they finally speak, the room falls silent. Their few carefully chosen words carry more weight than everyone else's combined monologues. This isn't accidental. It's a cosmic signature written in their astrological DNA. The Ram constellation holds ancient wisdom about conservation of energy. In the wild, Rams don't waste their strength on unnecessary movements or sounds. They save their power for the perfect moment to charge. Similarly, the human Aries intuitively understands the economy of expression. Why use 20 words when 5 will suffice? Why speak at all when your actions can deliver your message with perfect clarity? Mars, the fiery red planet ruling Aries, teaches them that true power lies not in constant demonstration, but in potential energy. The coiled spring, the drawn bow, the gathered breath before the decisive word. This planetary influence creates individuals who understand that to dominate the conversation doesn't always mean to fill it with sound. Throughout history, some of the most impactful Aries figures mastered this art of selective communication. They knew when to roar and when to whisper, when to command attention, and when to observe from the shadows. Their legacy teaches us that fire burns brightest when controlled. As we journey through the zodiac wheel, we often focus on the extroverted qualities of fire signs, missing the subtle interplay between expression and restraint that makes Aries truly formidable. Today's exploration will forever change how you perceive the Rams in your life. Those enigmatic souls who can shift from animated conversation to contemplative silence in the blink of an eye. The 12 reasons we're about to unveil aren't just fascinating astrological insights. They're keys to understanding and connecting with the Aries individuals who touch your life. Whether you're an Aries yourself, seeking self-understanding, or you love someone born under this powerful sign, these revelations will transform your relationships and deepen your cosmic awareness. If you're new to our celestial community, this is the perfect moment to join our journey through the stars. Hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss our astrological revelations, and leave a like on this video to help others discover these cosmic truths. Our constellation of followers grows stronger with each new member, creating a universe of shared wisdom and understanding. Now, let's begin our expedition into the mysterious silence of Aries. Starting with 3 fundamental reasons these fiery spirits sometimes prefer to hold their tongues rather than unleash their thoughts into the world. What we discover might challenge everything you thought you knew about this seemingly straightforward sign. The first reason: actions speak louder than their words. The essence of Aries energy flows through action, not language. While other signs might craft elaborate verbal tapestries to express their intentions, the Ram understands the profound truth that has echoed through civilizations since ancient times. Genuine power manifests through deed, not word. This inherent understanding shapes their communication style in ways that many find surprising. Consider the Aries child, who rarely announces their ambitions to climb the tallest tree in the yard. While their Leo counterpart might gather an audience and narrate their anticipated triumph, the young Aries simply approaches the tree, studies its branches with quiet intensity, and begins their ascent. The accomplishment itself becomes their voice, a physical declaration of their capabilities that requires no linguistic embellishment. This preference for demonstrative communication extends into their adult relationships. An Aries partner often expresses love not through poetic declarations or constant verbal reassurance, but through consistent, meaningful actions. They'll drive across town during a storm to bring you medicine when you're sick. They'll remember how you like your coffee and prepare it exactly that way each morning. They'll defend you fiercely in challenging situations without being asked. These tangible expressions of devotion speak volumes in their native language of action. Mars, their ruling planet, governs physical energy, combat, and direct intervention. This celestial influence creates beings who instinctively know that words can be manipulated, misinterpreted, or forgotten, but actions carve permanent impressions into the fabric of reality. Their relative verbal restraint isn't a communication deficiency, it's a philosophical position. Why dilute the impact of your intentions with unnecessary explanation when you can simply demonstrate them with undeniable clarity? This action-oriented approach extends to their professional lives as well. In workplaces, Aries individuals often become the quiet forces who mysteriously accomplish more than their more verbose colleagues. While team meetings fill with theoretical discussions and hypothetical scenarios, the Aries mind calculates the most direct path to completion. When others are still talking about potential solutions, the Aries has often already implemented one. The second reason, their minds race faster than their mouths can keep up. The internal landscape of an Aries mind resembles a cosmic racetrack where thoughts accelerate at light speed, jumping between possibilities, innovations, and potential adventures faster than verbal expression could possibly accommodate. This creates a fascinating communication bottleneck that often manifests as selective silence. Neurologically speaking, the Aries brain tends toward exceptionally rapid synaptic firing patterns, particularly in regions associated with initiative, spatial reasoning, and future projection. Their thoughts don't progress in neat, linear sequences that translate easily to conversation. Instead, they experience cognitive fireworks, brilliant bursts of insight and inspiration that illuminate multiple pathways simultaneously. Imagine attempting to narrate a meteor shower in real time, describing each streaking light as it appears and vanishes while new ones constantly emerge across the entire sky. This approximates the challenge Aries faces when trying to verbalize their thought processes. By the time they've formulated a sentence about one idea, their mind has already leaped to its fifth evolution or pivoted to an entirely new concept. This cognitive velocity explains why many Aries individuals develop a reputation for occasionally seeming distracted or interrupting themselves mid-sentence. They haven't lost their train of thought. They've simply boarded a faster locomotive that's already departed for a destination their words haven't caught up to yet. Their apparent verbal hesitation often masks an internal abundance rather than any deficiency. The Aries who fall silent in conversation might be processing multiple scenarios, calculating variables, or mentally test-driving potential solutions at speeds that verbal expression simply cannot match. Their quietness rarely indicates disengagement, quite the opposite. Their mental machinery is operating at maximum capacity, generating insights that may eventually emerge through action rather than explanation. This characteristic creates an interesting paradox in their communication style. While Aries can be brilliantly articulate when discussing concrete objectives or delivering decisive statements, they may struggle to verbalize their complete thought processes. The intricate connections, intuitive leaps, and rapid associations that form their cognitive experience resist linear translation into conversation. The third reason, they're saving energy for their next impulsive conquest. Aries operates within a cosmic economy of energy conservation that few other signs fully comprehend. Their selective verbal restraint often reflects a subconscious understanding that energy directed toward excessive conversation represents power, diverted from action, achievement, and conquest. The astrological blueprint of Aries contains an inherent recognition of personal energy as a precious, finite resource that must be strategically allocated. Like elite athletes who meticulously track their caloric intake and expenditure, Aries instinctively monitors their energetic investments. Conversation that doesn't advance their objectives or fuel their passions registers as an inefficient expenditure of their vital force. This isn't mere impatience or rudeness. It's an evolutionary adaptation of their cosmic design. The ram doesn't waste strength on unnecessary movement when traversing treacherous mountain terrain. Similarly, human Aries preserves their considerable power for meaningful challenges rather than depleting it through verbal excess. Historical examples illustrate this principle perfectly. Many renowned Aries military strategists were known for their terseness in planning sessions, saving their full energetic output for battlefield execution. Aries explorers often kept minimal journals, preferring to channel their resources toward the physical demands of their expeditions rather than elaborate documentation. The modern Aries demonstrates this same instinctive prioritization. They might seem unusually quiet during casual social gatherings, yet display remarkable stamina when pursuing a passion project, competitive endeavor, or creative pursuit. Their social battery depletes quickly during what they perceive as purposeless conversation, yet seems inexhaustible when directed toward meaningful challenges. This energy conservation extends to emotional expression as well. While some signs process emotions primarily through verbal exploration, Aries typically transforms emotional energy into physical action or creative output. Their feelings fuel their endeavors rather than their conversations. The consequences of this trait appear throughout their relationships. Friends of Aries learn that their occasional conversational disengagement doesn't indicate disinterest in the relationship itself. Rather, it reflects their internal energy management system, optimizing their resources for maximum impact in areas that matter most to them. Romantic partners who understand this aspect of Aries' nature stop interpreting their verbal economy as emotional withholding. Instead, they learn to recognize how their Aries channels affection through protective actions, physical expressions of care, and unwavering reliability during crucial moments. This energetic calculation explains why Aries sometimes falls silent precisely when others might expect them to speak up. In meetings, classrooms, or social settings, they're constantly performing subconscious cost-benefit analyses. Is this conversation worth the energy it would require? Will speaking advance my objectives or simply deplete resources I could direct toward actual achievement? Their silence often represents a decision to invest elsewhere rather than any lack of thoughts or opinions. As we consider these first three reasons behind the surprising verbal restraint of Aries, we begin to glimpse the sophisticated internal systems governing their communication choices, their preference for action over words, their accelerated thought processes, and their instinctive energy conservation create a communication style that may initially confuse those expecting more verbose expression from such a dynamic sign. These insights invite us to reconsider how we interpret the quieter moments of the Aries individuals in our lives. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's a charged field of potential energy, waiting to transform into decisive action at precisely the right moment. The fourth reason: when they do speak, they want their words to have impact. In the vast cosmic symphony of communication, Aries understands an essential truth that eludes many other signs. Verbal scarcity creates value. Like rare minerals whose worth derives partly from their limited availability, Aries' words gain extraordinary power precisely because they are not squandered on constant expression. The psychological impact of this approach becomes evident in rooms where an Aries has been quietly observing a discussion for some time. When they finally choose to break their silence, a subtle but unmistakable shift occurs. Bodies turn slightly in their direction. Conversations naturally pause. Attention gravitates toward them with almost magnetic certainty. This isn't coincidence or luck. It's the calculated result of verbal economy. Throughout history, military commanders born under this sign have mastered this principle. Rather than issuing a constant stream of orders that eventually blend into background noise, they save their commands for critical moments, delivering them with such intensity and conviction that they penetrate the chaos of battle and catalyze immediate action. This same quality makes Aries natural crisis leaders in any context. Their rare but decisive verbal interventions cut through panic and confusion like a celestial blade. Examine the communication patterns of successful Aries executives, and you'll discover a fascinating consistency. They often remain measured during extensive discussions, absorbing information and perspectives while contributing sparingly. Then, when decisive moments arrive, they deliver concentrated verbal distillations that crystallize the essential direction forward. Their words carry the weight of accumulated thought rather than the lightness of reflexive response. This quality over quantity approach extends into their personal relationships as well. An Aries compliment carries extraordinary significance precisely because they don't distribute praise casually. When they tell you you've done something remarkable, you can trust the authenticity of their assessment. Their emotional declarations, while infrequent, arrive with such unmistakable conviction that they leave permanent imprints on the hearts of those who receive them. The Aries' preference for impactful speech creates an interesting paradox in their communication style. While they might seem verbally reserved in general contexts, they can transform into surprisingly powerful public speakers when addressing topics of genuine passion. Their speeches in these moments contain no fillers or hedges, just concentrated truths delivered with such intensity that audiences find themselves physically affected by the force of their conviction. The fifth reason: silence gives them the strategic advantage of observing before striking. The ancient wisdom embedded in Aries' cosmic blueprint contains profound strategic insights about the power of observation. Like the wild ram that studies the mountain terrain before committing to its path, human Aries instinctively understands that silence provides the perfect cover for gathering essential intelligence. This strategic silence operates across all dimensions of their lives. In professional settings, the quiet Aries absorbs critical information about organizational dynamics, individual motivations, and potential opportunities that more talkative colleagues inadvertently overlook. While others reveal their positions through constant verbalization, Aries gains the advantage of asymmetric information, knowing others' thoughts while keeping their own concealed. Anthropologists studying primal hunting behaviors note fascinating parallels with Aries' communication patterns. The most successful predators don't announce their presence or intentions, but instead use silence and observation to identify the perfect moment for decisive action. Similarly, Aries' verbal restraint often masks an intense assessment process, cataloging strengths, weaknesses, and optimal intervention points before they make their move. This observational advantage extends to their romantic pursuits as well. The Aries' approach to courtship frequently involves a period of watchful assessment that others might misinterpret as disinterest. In reality, they're gathering crucial information about compatibility, character, and potential challenges. When they finally do express interest, their advance comes with remarkable precision, targeting exactly what will resonate most with their prospective partner. The military strategist Sun Tzu, whose tactical philosophy aligns perfectly with Aries' energy, emphasized that all warfare is based on deception. The ram's selective silence creates strategic ambiguity about their intentions, leaving others uncertain about where and when they might strike. This uncertainty itself becomes a competitive advantage in negotiations, competitions, and conflicts. Even in casual social situations, this strategic silence serves Aries well. At gatherings where others compete for attention through constant expression, the quieter Aries often becomes the mysterious center of curiosity. Their selective engagement creates an aura of intrigue that paradoxically draws others toward them, eager to discover what thoughts might be developing behind their measured exterior. This capacity for strategic observation explains why many Aries excel in fields requiring careful assessment: emergency medicine, crisis intervention, competitive sports, and tactical planning. Their apparent verbal reservation masks an intensive analytical process that prepares them for precisely calibrated action. The sixth reason: they are too busy processing their next bold move to engage in small talk. The Aries mind operates in a perpetual state of forward projection, constantly mapping potential paths and evaluating possible actions with remarkable intensity. This future-oriented cognitive style creates a natural disinclination toward conversational conventions that anchor attention in the present or past. Neurological research suggests that the Aries brain demonstrates distinctive activation patterns in regions associated with anticipatory planning and initiative. Their neural architecture seems particularly optimized for action preparation rather than social processing. This creates a fundamental mismatch between their internal experience and the expectations of conventional conversation. Small talk, with its emphasis on weather observations, casual recollections, or surface-level exchanges, registers in the Aries consciousness as a curious distraction from the vital work of plotting their next conquest. While engaging in such conversation, part of their formidable mental capacity remains dedicated to background calculations about future possibilities, creating a divided attention that can manifest as verbal brevity. This phenomenon becomes particularly evident when observing Aries during transition periods in their lives. When contemplating career changes, relationship decisions, or significant life moves, their conversational engagement often diminishes noticeably. This isn't withdrawal but redirection. Their cognitive resources have been reallocated toward mapping their next bold advance. The historical archetype of the silent warrior before battle perfectly captures this Aries quality. The knight who grows increasingly quiet as combat approaches isn't experiencing fear but concentration, all mental faculties converging on the single point of forthcoming action. Modern Aries exhibit this same focused intensity before major undertakings, their verbal engagement receding as their action planning intensifies. This preference for strategic planning over casual conversation creates interesting dynamics in their friendships. The Aries friend might fall notably silent during group gatherings, yet later reveal they were mentally designing an adventure for the entire group during that very period of apparent disengagement. Their quietness wasn't absence, but preparation for bringing something extraordinary into existence. Even in professional contexts, this characteristic distinguishes Aries from their colleagues. During meetings focused on theoretical discussion or retrospective analysis, they may contribute minimally. However, when conversation shifts to future initiatives or upcoming challenges, their engagement often increases dramatically. Their silence doesn't indicate lack of interest, but different prioritization. They allocate verbal energy primarily to forward-moving topics that align with their action-oriented nature. This constant mental planning explains why many Aries maintain journals, strategic notebooks, or digital planning systems that would surprise those who perceive them as purely impulsive. Behind their occasional conversational detachment lies a sophisticated internal architecture of goals, pathways, contingencies, and possibilities being continuously evaluated and refined. For those seeking deeper connection with the Aries individuals in their lives, this insight offers valuable guidance. Rather than interpreting their conversational economy as disinterest or aloofness, recognize it as the external manifestation of intense internal activity. The quiet Aries isn't absent from the moment, but potentially creating something remarkable within it, a future adventure, a solution to a shared challenge, or a bold new direction that will eventually benefit everyone in their orbit. As we explore these middle three reasons for Aries' surprising verbal restraint, a more nuanced portrait emerges of this frequently misunderstood sign. Their selective communication reflects not limitation, but specialization, a cosmic design optimized for impact, strategic advantage, and forward movement rather than continuous verbal expression. The seventh reason, verbal restraint, masks their fiery impulsiveness. Beneath the occasional silence of an Aries lies a fascinating paradox. Their measured words often serve as the counterbalance to to their legendary impulsiveness. This verbal restraint represents not an absence of intensity, but a sophisticated self-regulation mechanism developed through experience and evolutionary necessity. Consider the internal landscape of the Aries consciousness, a terrain of brilliant flashes, sudden inspirations, and immediate impulses that arrive with overwhelming force. This continuous internal combustion creates a unique challenge for the ram. Without some form of deliberate containment, their explosive nature would manifest as verbal torrents that might damage relationships, reveal strategic advantages prematurely, or commit them to paths better left unexplored. Psychological research on impulse control offers intriguing parallels to this Aries characteristic. Studies suggest that individuals with naturally high impulsivity often develop compensatory mechanisms, conscious practices that create space between internal impulse and external expression. For Aries, verbal restraint becomes precisely this type of adaptive strategy, allowing them to harness their impulsive nature rather than being controlled by it. The historical archetype of the warrior monk captures this duality perfectly. The external discipline of measured speech creates the container that safely houses their internal fire. Without this deliberate practice of verbal containment, their powerful impulsive energy might scatter in too many directions simultaneously, diminishing its potential impact. This explains why many Aries demonstrate an interesting pattern in their communication style. During periods of particular excitement or stimulation, they often become notably quieter, not because they have less to express, but because they're exercising greater containment around their amplified impulses. The quieter they become, the more significant the internal activation they're likely managing. In romantic relationships, this quality creates a fascinating dynamic. Partners often discover that the Aries' occasional verbal withdrawals don't indicate emotional distance, but quite the opposite, a heightened internal state being carefully managed. The Aries who falls uncharacteristically silent during relationship tensions might be containing not indifference, but overwhelming feeling that requires processing before safe expression. This capacity for verbal restraint as impulse management explains why many Aries develop remarkable crisis leadership abilities. When emergencies arise and others surrender to verbal panic or reactivity, the Aries often demonstrate surprising calm and measured communication. Their lifelong practice of containing their own powerful impulses prepares them perfectly for maintaining verbal discipline during external chaos. The eighth reason: speaking less prevents revealing their competitive strategies. Prematurely, the cosmic design of Aries contains an inherent competitive intelligence that shapes their communication choices in ways both subtle and profound. Their selective verbal engagement often reflects a strategic awareness that information represents both power and vulnerability in any competitive landscape. Game theory offers illuminating insights into this aspect of Aries' communication style. In competitive scenarios, the player who reveals their strategy first typically surrenders significant advantage. The Aries' intuitive understanding of this principle manifests as a natural reluctance to verbalize their intentions, approaches, or objectives before action becomes necessary. Historical examples abound of famous Aries military commanders who maintained strict information control, sharing plans only on a need-to-know basis, even with their own forces. This wasn't paranoia, but strategic wisdom. They understood that every person who knows a plan becomes a potential point of information leakage, whether intentional or accidental. This strategic verbal containment extends far beyond literal battlefield context. In professional environments, the Aries executive often reveals remarkably little about their ultimate vision during planning stages. They share just enough information to enable necessary preparation while maintaining multiple possible paths forward, options that would be compromised by premature disclosure. Even in seemingly non-competitive social contexts, this principle influences Aries' communication. At community gatherings or family events, they may share little about their personal achievements or current projects. This isn't modesty, but strategic awareness. They intuitively understand that detailed discussion of their ambitions creates opportunities for either interference or imitation. The entrepreneurial realm provides particularly clear examples of this Aries quality, while others eagerly discuss their business concepts in development stages, seeking validation through conversation. The Aries entrepreneur often works in relative silence until their creation is sufficiently established to withstand potential competition. Their restraint reflects not insecurity, but competitive intelligence. This strategic communication extends into their creative pursuits as well. The Aries artist, writer, or innovator frequently maintains unusual secrecy around works in progress. They understand that premature exposure of developing ideas not only invites potential appropriation, but can also dilute their own creative energy through excessive processing with others before the work reaches its optimal form. Perhaps most interestingly, this quality influences their approach to personal growth and transformation. When undertaking significant self-improvement initiatives, whether fitness regimens, educational pursuits, or habit changes, they often tell remarkably few people about their intentions. This isn't social disconnection, but strategic protection. They recognize that discussion creates both external pressure and opportunities for discouragement that might compromise their objectives. For those seeking to build trust with Aries individuals, this insight offers valuable guidance. Their selective disclosure reflects not secretiveness, but strategic wisdom. The information they choose to withhold isn't a measure of their trust in you, but a reflection of their competitive intelligence operating across all domains of their experience. The ninth reason, their intense internal fire burns so bright it doesn't always need verbal expression. The astrological essence of Aries contains a unique energetic signature, an internal flame of such intensity that it naturally radiates outward, communicating through presence rather than words. This phenomenal internal combustion creates a form of non-verbal expression that renders constant speech unnecessary and sometimes even redundant. Energy practitioners and intuitive readers consistently report that Aries individuals project one of the most distinctive and palpable energetic fields among all zodiac signs. Their presence carries an unmistakable charge that communicates volumes about their emotional state, intentions, and focus without requiring verbal clarification. This energetic projection serves as a continuous broadcast that others receive at subtler levels of awareness. Electromagnetic field research offers intriguing parallels to this astrological principle. Studies suggest that the human body generates measurable electromagnetic fields that vary with emotional and mental states. The Aries field appears particularly pronounced and responsive, creating a silent language that sensitive individuals perceive with remarkable clarity despite its nonverbal nature. This quality explains why Aries often achieves leadership positions despite their sometimes economical communication style. Their energetic presence naturally establishes authority and direction in group settings. When they enter rooms, subtle shifts occur in the social dynamic. Attention realigns, conversations redirect, and awareness centers on their arrival without them speaking a single word. The animal kingdom provides perfect analogies for this Aries characteristic. Apex predators rarely need vocalizations to establish their position in ecological hierarchies. Their mere presence communicates essential information about territory, dominance, and intention. Similarly, the human Aries projects an energetic signature that establishes their position in social ecosystems without requiring verbal reinforcement. This energetic expressiveness extends into their intimate relationships as well. Partners of Aries individuals frequently report an almost telepathic awareness of their emotional states despite minimal verbal disclosure. Their internal flame broadcasts continuously on frequencies that bypass language entirely, creating connections that words might actually diminish rather than enhance. Even in professional contexts, this quality influences how Aries navigates communication. During presentations or leadership moments, they often rely less on verbal volume than on energetic projection. Their most effective communications combine minimal, precisely chosen words with maximum presence, allowing their natural radiance to amplify their message beyond what language alone could convey. This explains why many Aries demonstrate particular affinity for physical activities, creative expression, and direct action rather than verbal processing. These modalities allow their intense internal fire to flow outward through channels that match its native intensity. Their energy seeks expression through forms that preserve rather than dilute its essential quality, a quality that ordinary conversation often fails to accommodate. For those seeking to understand the Aries individuals in their lives, this insight offers a profound shift in perspective. Their verbal economy doesn't indicate emotional unavailability or intellectual limitation. Rather, it reflects a different primary language, the language of energy, presence, and direct transmission that requires no words to convey its essential message. As we complete our exploration of these three remarkable aspects of Aries' communication style, we glimpse a more complete picture of this frequently misunderstood sign. Their verbal restraint as impulse management, their strategic information control, and their energetic expressiveness reveal a sophisticated communicator who speaks not less but differently, choosing channels that honor both their fiery nature and their strategic wisdom. The 10th reason, they prefer direct action over lengthy explanations. Within the cosmic architecture of Aries, consciousness exists a fundamental orientation toward efficiency that profoundly shapes their communication choices. Their preference for direct action over verbal elaboration reflects not impatience, but a sophisticated understanding of energy conservation in the pursuit of tangible outcomes. Time, in the Aries worldview, represents the most precious and non-renewable resource in human experience. Every moment spent explaining, discussing, or theorizing about potential actions subtracts from the finite time available for actual implementation. This perspective creates a natural economy in their verbal expression. They instinctively calculate the return on investment for conversation and allocate their communicative resources accordingly. Anthropological studies of hunter-gatherer societies reveal fascinating parallels to this Aries quality. In environments where survival depends on efficient action, communication naturally evolves toward precision and minimalism. Instructions, warnings, and knowledge transfer occur through concentrated verbal packages that maximize information while minimizing time expenditure. The Aries communication style maintains this ancient efficiency despite the relative abundance of modern environments. This action-oriented approach manifests distinctively in collaborative settings. While others might spend hours discussing theoretical approaches or hypothetical scenarios, the Aries typically redirects conversation toward executable steps. Their questions consistently center on implementation rather than conceptualization. How do we start? Rather than, what might this look like? Their verbal contributions aim to accelerate the transition from discussion to action. The technological realm offers perfect metaphors for this Aries characteristic. They function less like processors dedicated to language generation and more like compilers, systems that transform abstract ideas into executable code. Their mental architecture prioritizes conversion efficiency over descriptive elaboration, creating a natural verbal economy that preserves energy for implementation. This preference extends into their educational and mentoring approaches as well. The Aries teacher often favors demonstration over explanation, guiding learners through direct experience rather than theoretical description. Their instructional style typically involves minimal verbal framing, followed by immediate practical application, a reflection of their understanding that certain knowledge can only be truly acquired through action rather than language. Even in emotional contexts, this quality influences their communication patterns. When confronting relationship challenges or personal difficulties, they typically favor resolution-oriented conversation over extended processing. Their approach focuses on identifying actionable steps toward improvement rather than exhaustive exploration of feelings or perspectives. This isn't emotional avoidance, but solution prioritization, allocating communicative resources toward pathways that lead to tangible resolution. For those seeking productive collaboration with Aries individuals, this insight offers valuable guidance. Their drive toward action represents not dismissal of important conversational steps, but a different valuation of how time and energy should be allocated in pursuit of shared objectives. The most effective approaches involve honoring their efficiency orientation while ensuring necessary information. Exchange occurs before action commences. The 11th reason: talking requires sitting still, and Aries finds that nearly impossible. The physiological reality of the Aries constitution creates unique challenges for sustained verbal engagement that few other signs fully comprehend. Their cosmic blueprint contains an extraordinary activation of the body's kinetic systems, creating an almost continuous impulse toward movement that makes stationary conversation genuinely difficult rather than simply uninteresting. Neuroscientific research on movement disorders offers illuminating parallels to this Aries characteristic. Studies suggest that certain neurological profiles experience physical discomfort when movement is restricted for extended periods. The Aries nervous system appears similarly calibrated, designed for regular kinetic discharge rather than static positioning. Their occasional verbal brevity often reflects not disinterest, but the mounting physical tension that accompanies enforced stillness. This quality becomes particularly evident in observing Aries during different conversational environments. When discussions occur while walking, hiking, or engaging in physical activity, their verbal participation typically increases dramatically. The enabling of simultaneous movement liberates their communicative capacity, allowing fuller expression, while their kinetic needs receive satisfaction. The educational implications of this characteristic are significant and frequently overlooked. Aries children often struggle in conventional classroom settings that require extended periods of motionless attention. Their apparent distractibility or minimal verbal participation frequently reflects not cognitive disengagement, but the overwhelming physical restlessness that accompanies enforced stillness. When the same educational content occurs in movement-friendly contexts, their engagement and verbal contribution often transform completely. This physiological reality extends into their professional functioning as well. The Aries executive who seems disengaged during lengthy board meetings may be experiencing genuine physical discomfort rather than boredom or disinterest. Their preference for brief, standing conferences or walking meetings reflects not arbitrary preference, but essential accommodation of their kinetic nature. Even in therapeutic contexts, this quality significantly influences their engagement. Traditional talk therapy approaches that involve extended stationary conversation often prove challenging for Aries individuals, despite genuine desire for growth and healing. Movement-based therapeutic modalities typically elicit more productive participation, precisely because they accommodate the physical restlessness that makes conventional verbal processing difficult. This understanding offers valuable guidance for those seeking meaningful connection with the Aries individuals in their lives. Their preference for active rather than stationary interaction reflects not avoidance, but necessity, an honoring of their physiological design rather than rejection of verbal exchange itself. The most effective approaches involve creating communication opportunities that accommodate rather than suppress their natural kinetic energy. The 12th reason: they're secretly gathering their verbal ammunition for when it truly matters. The most profound dimension of Aries' selective communication lies in their intuitive understanding of verbal conservation as preparation for moments of decisive impact. Their periods of relative silence often mask an intensive process of linguistic curation, carefully selecting, refining, and reserving their most powerful expressions for contexts where they will generate maximum effect. Literary traditions across cultures contain the archetype of the silent warrior who speaks rarely, but with earth-shaking impact when they finally break their silence. This archetypal pattern perfectly captures the Aries approach to significant communication. They instinctively understand that words, like any precious resource, increase in value through scarcity. Their verbal restraint creates the necessary conditions for extraordinary impact when they finally choose to unleash their full expressive power. Historical examples abound of famous Aries figures whose rare but monumental speeches transformed collective consciousness precisely because they spoke selectively rather than constantly. Their words carried the concentrated force of accumulated thought rather than the diluted impact of continuous expression. This pattern reflects not calculation, but cosmic design. Their communication style naturally evolves toward maximum impact through selective deployment. This quality becomes particularly evident during crisis situations or pivotal moments. The Aries who has been relatively quiet in routine contexts often emerges as the decisive voice during emergencies or turning points. The verbal ammunition they've been silently gathering suddenly deploys with remarkable precision and power, cutting through confusion and catalyzing collective action when it matters most. The martial arts provide perfect metaphors for this Aries characteristic. The master practitioner understands that power derives from concentration rather than continuous expenditure. Their strikes generate extraordinary impact precisely because they channel accumulated energy through single points of contact rather than dissipating force through constant motion. Similarly, Aries' verbal expressions achieve a remarkable impact through concentration rather than continuation. This approach extends into their emotional communication as well. The Aries partner who speaks relatively little about feelings in daily interaction often delivers breathtaking emotional truths at pivotal relationship moments. Their declarations of love, vulnerability, or commitment carry extraordinary weight precisely because they emerge from a background of verbal conservation rather than constant emotional verbalization. Even in creative contexts, this quality shapes their expressive choices. The Aries writer, poet, or songwriter often produces less volume but greater impact than their more prolific counterparts. Their creative expressions arrive with the concentrated force of accumulated inspiration rather than the diffused energy of continuous production. This isn't limitation but specialization. Their creative voice naturally optimizes for impact rather than frequency. For those seeking to appreciate the Aries individuals in their lives more fully, this understanding offers a profound shift in perspective. Their periods of verbal quietude represent not absence, but preparation, the necessary gathering of forces that enables extraordinary impact when expression finally occurs. The space between their words contains not emptiness, but potential, the accumulating power that will eventually emerge in moments that truly matter. As we complete our exploration of these final three aspects of Aries' surprising verbal restraint, a cohesive portrait emerges of a sign whose communication style embodies sophisticated strategic wisdom rather than limitation. Their preference for action over explanation, their physical need for movement, and their conservation of verbal impact reveal a communicator designed not for constant expression, but for maximum effect when it matters most. This deeper understanding transforms how we perceive and engage with the Aries individuals in our lives. Their occasional silence no longer appears as disconnection, but as the necessary counterbalance to their extraordinary capacity for impact. Like the archer who draws back before release, or the wave that recedes before surging forward, their verbal restraint creates the essential conditions for their remarkable power when finally expressed. Throughout our cosmic exploration of Aries communication patterns, we've uncovered 12 profound insights into why this fiery sign often chooses verbal restraint over constant expression. This unexpected characteristic reveals not a limitation, but a sophisticated strategic approach to human interaction that deserves our deeper appreciation. We've discovered how Aries prioritizes action over words, allowing their deeds to communicate with undeniable clarity what others might struggle to express through language alone. Their rapidly racing minds create natural challenges for verbal expression, as thoughts accelerate beyond what conventional conversation can accommodate. Their instinctive conservation of energy preserves their formidable power for meaningful challenges rather than depleting it through excessive talk. We've explored how they maximize verbal impact through selective communication, creating moments of extraordinary influence precisely because they speak with intention rather than habit. Their strategic silence provides the perfect cover for observation before action, allowing them to gather essential intelligence while others reveal their positions through constant verbalization. Their intense mental planning leaves little room for small talk, as their focus remains fixed on creating future possibilities rather than discussing present circumstances. We've examined how verbal restraint serves as a sophisticated self-regulation mechanism for their naturally impulsive nature, creating the container that safely houses their internal fire. Their competitive intelligence manifests as careful protection of strategic information, recognizing that premature disclosure creates vulnerability in any competitive landscape. Their extraordinary energetic presence communicates continuously on nonverbal frequencies, rendering words unnecessary for much of their essential expression. We've witnessed their preference for efficient action over lengthy explanation, reflecting their understanding of time as the most precious and non-renewable resource in human experience. Their physiological need for movement creates genuine challenges for stationary conversation, explaining why their verbal engagement often increases dramatically during active rather than static interactions. Finally, we've recognized their intuitive understanding of verbal conservation as preparation for moments of decisive impact, gathering linguistic ammunition for contexts where it will generate maximum effect. These 12 dimensions of Aries communication style transform our understanding of this frequently misunderstood sign. Their selective verbal engagement represents not limitation, but specialization, a cosmic design optimized for impact, strategic advantage, and forward movement rather than continuous expression. The occasional silence of the rams in our lives contains not emptiness, but extraordinary potential, the gathering force that will eventually emerge in moments that truly matter. If these astrological insights have illuminated your understanding of the Aries individuals in your life, there's so much more cosmic wisdom waiting for you at Secret of the Zodiac. Our channel explores the hidden dimensions of each zodiac sign, revealing the profound truths that conventional astrology often misses. Subscribe now to join our growing cosmic community and receive notification when we release new revelations about your sign and the signs of those you love. Our videos offer practical wisdom for navigating relationships, understanding communication patterns, and harmonizing with the unique energetic signatures of each astrological archetype. Help us continue providing this valuable astrological wisdom by activating the Super Thanks feature below this video. Your contribution directly supports our research, production costs, and enables us to create daily content exploring the zodiac in unprecedented depth. Even a small donation makes an enormous difference in sustaining our ability to bring these cosmic insights to you consistently. Leave a comment below sharing which of these 12 reasons resonated most strongly with your experience of Aries communication. Are you an Aries who recognizes these patterns in yourself? Or perhaps you love an Aries whose occasional silence now makes perfect sense through this cosmic lens? Your stories create a tapestry of lived experience that enriches our collective understanding. Visit our channel page to explore our complete library of zodiac revelations. Discover the hidden dimensions of every sign, the secrets of astrological compatibility, and practical guidance for harmonizing with the cosmic energies that shape our human experience. Like this video to help others discover these astrological insights and share it with the Aries individuals in your life who might appreciate this deeper understanding of their communication style. Together, we're creating a community that honors the unique cosmic design of each zodiac sign rather than expecting uniformity across the astrological wheel. The stars have spoken through this exploration. Will you join us in listening to what the cosmos continues to reveal? Subscribe now and become part of our journey through the secret wisdom of the zodiac.